Okay,
We're back.
getting back. What pillar are we on?
We're going to begin number 8.
Number 8.
We finished
okay.
up 7, which was fasting.
Yeah.
We talked about basically time-restricted eating. That, try to go beyond 12 hours if you can, up to 16.
Okay.
And then intermittent fasting,
Right.
a 24, 48, 72-hour fast.
Yeah, and I'm sure we'll have a whole podcast on or YouTube video about fasting. Not as one of the pillars, and but I think we covered it pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
I was kind of going back through it, and well, thanks to Chelsea, we got some
Feedback.
some feedback on how we should be sitting and looking at the camera. I saw myself on the camera. It was a little odd, so this is our new format per se. So
We'll keep our podcasts shorter, like we were talking about our backs.
Yeah. That's why I won't just talk on forever. Okay. So pillar number 8.
Pillar number 8. So these are, I think, we're not going to have as much to talk about, but prayer and meditation.
Yeah.
Tell me kind of what your thoughts are on that.
Yeah. So I have 2 kind of themes that I think about, or 2 things I think about. Number 1, I think nobody can be mentally healthy, which in turn you can't be physically healthy without having some kind of spiritual discipline. And because it's, everybody talks about gratitude journaling and thankfulness, and in my opinion, I don't know the source of that without my spirituality.
Mm-hmm.
And whether it's grounding, whether it's just keeping you in tune with the blessings you have, because every day we can get torn down with things we think that we don't have, or what I've been cheated on, or ungratefulness.
Yeah.
But if there's not something there that brings you back to, hey, calm down, look around, I think it's difficult. And the second thing that all my patients hear this is, your health and wellness journey is a battle between your brain and your body. And you have to align your body with your brain, because your body's working against you if you're not taking care of it. It's in storage mode, stress mode, insulin's high. I'm in storage. So how do I get it out of storage? Well, you've got to give it the food that it needs, the nutrition, the supplements, the vitamins, the minerals. You need to move. You need to exercise. You need to manage stress, and you need to sleep. To me, stress has a lot to do with either a breathing meditation practice, a spirituality practice, prayer. But I don't know too many people that are involved in the health and wellness realm, or that have had success in that realm of life, that don't have some kind of prayer, meditation, spirituality practice of some sort.
No, I think what we're seeing, personally, this has always been a big part of my life. I think most of my patients know I love the Lord, Christian, and from an early age, just having a quiet time every morning, getting up, starting off with just thankfulness, gratitude, and then using just God's word in my life and how it's guided me. But I think now we're even realizing how important, from a medical standpoint, that having emotional health and this part in your life really helps you.
Mm-hmm.
I think having purpose. I think number 1 is having purpose to our life, having a reason to get up every day. Number 2 is, I think, starting off the day with the gratitude, the thankfulness, the meditation, prayer, whatever that looks like, that they've actually looked at this in studies and seen that those people are happier.
Mm-hmm.
And so I personally think that this is a big part of my life and what keeps me grounded and going every day.
Yeah.
And
To me, if you don't have some way of mentally checking in with, the things around you, it'll tear you down.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, how healthy do you feel when you come off of a weekend? You're on call and you've been on Twitter all weekend, getting all irritated, fired up.
Yeah.
I mean, it affects your sleep. It affects your happiness. It affects your, and if a body is not happy, like I said, aligning the body with the brain, if you're not making your body happy, it's never going to do what you want it to do.
Yeah.
Right? From a chemical standpoint, from a hormonal, from an inflammation standpoint. And I listened to I think it was a TED Talk not too long ago, and it was talking about how do we physically lose weight? Like how does fat leave our body?
CO2.
Huh?
Breathing.
CO2,
Yeah.
carbon dioxide.
Mm-hmm.
So the breaks down into the free fatty acids. It goes over to the mitochondria. It breaks it down. Ultimately, the end stage of energy conversion from nutrients to what we need for energy is carbon dioxide, right? So, his point was like, doesn't it make sense to like pay attention to your breathing?
Breathing exercise.
Yeah, like doing breathing, like and the more we breathe, the more energy we use, the more fat we burn. So he's like, if baseline you weren't interested in a spirituality practice or a thankfulness practice or religious practice, like you dang sure better be interested in a breathing practice. And that's kind of that TED Talk was like the one that turned me on to like to breathing, box breathing, doing breath work. And then you start looking into all the hormone, like brain hormone responses to certain breathing patterns, and you're like, this has been around a long time and for a reason.
I want you to go in that when we hit pillar number 10, which is stress management.
Okay. Yeah, kind of go together.
Yeah, because I will say this. I do my breath work when I'm driving to work.
Yeah.
And just activating your vagal nerve, the parasympathetics, and it just relaxes me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'd say I haven't really I've been wanting to. Since Shelby, my wife, got a Peloton treadmill for Christmas. I bought her a Peloton bike 3 Christmases ago. That was a horrible idea before the commercial that said you should get your wife a Peloton bike. Anyways, so she's more into this. This was her idea, not my idea. And but it comes with all this breath work on their app and on their membership. And so I've never really incorporated breath work with morning prayer and thankfulness practices. I usually do it at night as I'm trying to gear down. Mm-hmm. And most of the breath work I do is geared towards stress reduction, but not all breath work's created equal. It can be, breath work for relaxation and stress reduction, or it could be breath work for performance, or it could be breath work for depression. This breath work is as old as history, right? I mean, everybody knows, they sit there, and there's science behind that, why they're oming, right? It rattles the top of the nasal cavity, which triggers a release of nitric oxide.
I'll be darned.
So what happens when you have nitric oxide release?
Yeah, vasodilation.
Yeah, you get spiritual, you get deeper, right? You feel better. So they were, most people when they do that, they're making fun of somebody, right? But there is science behind that practice.
Just when I sit and take some deep breaths in, fill my lung cavity, hold it, breathe all the way out, it's literally you get more clear. Mm-hmm. You can think better. You definitely feel calmer. So I think that's important. So big part meditation, prayer in our life, thankfulness, gratefulness.
Yeah.
Counting your blessings. I tell you, I wish I could do some quotes on Tony Robbins. He has a lot of just how important the positive attitude is on outcomes in our life. Mm-hmm. I think there was a quote, I think I've mentioned this quote to you before, but if you're positive, you're optimistic in life, mm-hmm. you have a 70% chance.
You're much better than that than I am.
Higher at accomplishing things. It's just all about attitude and mindset, and so.
But I don't. The one thing. Let's circle back after your summary. It's we don't want people listening to this and thinking it's some frou-frou mental technique. Like this legitimately affects your health, mm-hmm. right? Because if you think about, I think without a spirituality practice, a religious practice, like you're more prone to get really entwined in guilt and addiction, and I think you can easily tear yourself down. But that's to have a spiritual practice in there. I think we're all familiar with Christianity, so that says you are worthy, that you are enough, right? And that tears off all the. I just read Pilgrim's Progress with August. You remember Pilgrim's Progress? The Dangerous Journey, where Christian takes off on a journey and he has this big this load on his back that he's trying to carry through his Christian journey, and eventually he sheds it, and the journey becomes a lot easier because he's not carrying around guilt, and but addressing guilt on your own, addressing any realm of mental component on your own is very difficult without a spiritual guidance or even earthly guidance. Having somebody that's talking to you and talking you through those things. And that's, to me, we're kind of throwing all these in one bucket: breath work, prayer, spirituality, but they all are working on the same thing. You've got to decrease the pressure and the stress on your body if you want to get it to do what you want it to do.
No, I love that. As you're talking, something just in my own personal life, certain scriptures that I always have memorized over the years, like I'm fearfully and wonderfully made, that just shows me that He made me special, and all of us are special. And I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. Just things that you need to know when life hits you hard. You got a source to pull from.
Yeah, and saying it with conviction and repetition and complete understanding, not just rattling off verses. Like, I truthfully believe this. Yeah. And that's powerful, right? So we won't, neither one of us proclaim to be preachers. So just a little tiptoe into there. All right.
Go to number 9.
Go to number 9.
So pillar number 9, relationships. This is important. And I think we realized how important relationship is with COVID. And when we are all kind of, pulled away from out of a lot of relationships temporarily, how much mental anguish it's affected America and people. Depression went up, suicide went up, divorce rates went up. And so we need social support, we need friends, we need family, we need deep relationships, and that's what we're designed for. Yeah.
I think, our bodies are meant, we're social creatures, and some of the neurochemical, hormone, the makeup, the milieu of our body, going back to, you got to make the body comfortable, happy if you want it to lose weight, if you want it to be healthy. This is a big part of that to me. And a lot of people have heard me tell this story, you probably have too, but twice I've met the fittest person in the world, right? The first time was Rich Froning, 8-time CrossFit champion, and Ben Greenfield I met in Hawaii, highest ranked personal trainer in the world, fittest guy. And I asked them both the same question. I asked them both multiple different questions, but they gave the same answer to one of them. And it was, what do you feel like is the most important thing about health and wellness? I mean, what's the key? And I think you know their answer, right?
Relationships.
Community, relationships. And this, I think we're saying this, hey, just go do it. I mean, there's introverts, there's extroverts, but we're telling you it's important. Yeah. You need to find some way of doing it. And, it's not easy to just snap your fingers and instantly you got an accountability partner. I find it to be very beneficial in my life. We did the podcast with you and Alan. You're my, Alan's kind of my workout accountability partner. You're my kind of my overall life accountability partner. But I need both of those, right, to check in and keep me balanced. Otherwise, you get pretty out there.
Well, and I think I also comment on this is who you surround yourself by either sharpens you or pulls you down. And so my health and wellness journey started with you going. You started first, and kind of then started visiting about this in the OR and talking about that. And so that rubbed off on me. And I see this also with my family. If we hang out with people that are like-minded, meaning that they're wanting to eat healthy, they want to have these same kind of priorities in life, it challenges you to
answer the
to
call.
be better.
Yeah.
And so I think that that's good for all of us.
Yeah.
One thing I wanted to share, Bo, this is a cool book. I read it's about a year ago.
You read books?
I love reading books.
You read a few?
A lot. A lot. I finished one this last week. We can talk about that at some point. 90 Seconds to the Life You Love by Joan Rosenberg. Basically, she was interviewed by Dr. Mark Hyman on his podcast, and the book is incredible. But what it goes through is about relationships, but more importantly, how in life we hit these hard spots in our life, in relationships, or just in life itself, and how we get through them. And not to suppress things, not to avoid conflict, but to hit it head on. And how that builds character in us and makes us and sharpens us. And I think that that's something I've been trying to work on in my life, because I'm kind of a yes man. I don't like confrontation. I like to make everyone happy, but that's not the healthiest thing for me. And so having to work through that. Does that make sense?
I'd say you're 99% yes, and then 1% the sky is falling.
It can be and it can be pretty bold. I get to a breaking point, and then it's
yeah.
yeah.
So
it's not
so
healthy.
you would say in your life, I'm practicing trying to balance that on a daily basis.
Right.
Instead of giving answers people want to hear, I'm trying to be more truthful to prevent me from getting to a point where I just blow up because.
Correct.
Right.
Because if you're not honest in certain situations, it puts stress on you.
Yeah.
And if I was able to be brutally honest in those scenarios or relationships, then there's a peace to that. There's a calm to that. There's a health to that. And getting to that point, because I know a lot of us in relationships, we have a lot of baggage that we carry because of not being really honest about certain things.
Yeah.
And so that's a great book that I encourage patients to read if they're struggling with that.
Yeah. That's these things are. These last two conversations are like, hey, if you need help with this, reach out.
Yeah.
Whether it's us, whether it's counselors, whether it's preachers, whether it's priests, whether it's yogis, whatever wherever you're at right now, right? Yeah. But to do, I think these last kind of two things on your own can be challenging. I think you and I have talked about why our partnership works really well, and I think that it boils down to you're a perpetual optimist and I'm a perpetual pessimist.
We balance each other.
So we balance each other out, and when I'm in the gutter, you pull me out, and when you're going too high, I pull you down.
I need some reality. Yeah.
But I've been really blessed to find that in my life. Even with the friends I have, my spouse, I never wanted to surround myself with people that all they did was make me feel better. Yeah. I've always wanted the challenge or the balance. Yeah. Do you feel the same way?
No, I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. We need that. And it's finding those people that are willing to speak in our life and tell us things that we don't necessarily, that make us a better person. Mm-hmm. And I love that. I like people that do that.
I'm always on time everywhere we go, and you're always late.
All the time.
Or is that flip? That's flip. Okay, that's flip. All right. Okay, should we? I think we could spend 2 hours on relationships and the importance, because we're not even really diving into the negative aspects of relationships, like people that are tearing you down, that are belittling you and telling you you're not worthy and you're never going to do it. And what do you do about that? And what's your ultimate fallback you can hear one thing, but what do you believe? I think we might need to consult a professional for that.
No, that's a hard one.
Yeah.
So pillar number 10, so we're towards the end.
Drum roll.
Last one, stress management. and I put also and playing.
Yeah.
We'll talk about that. I think we're designed to do that.
Mm-hmm.
But first of all, stress. What role does stress play in weight struggles and health?
Yeah, huge, I think. You know, the primal lifestyle would say it's 5% of your overall health journey. But if you think about how it impacts the bigger players like nutrition, exercise, and sleep, right? So to me, it's a bigger issue than we give it credit, right? And it all goes back to what I was saying earlier. You've got to convince your body that it's not under attack if you want it to lose weight and feel better, right? So a big part of that's stress management, stress reduction if you can. You know, I tell people I don't have any magic buttons to make your stress go away. I mean, what do you talk to about with your parents? What do you talk to them about?
How to reduce this? So I'm going to answer that question. One thing that I just biologically how stress affects us, and then I'll get back to answering the management, is so when we're under stress, which we're all going to face, but I think in America, I mean, we live in a chronic stress environment. Deadlines, having kids, balancing work, and so our adrenal glands release cortisol, which ultimately cause us to eat more. Okay, and then we talked about this. You add stress in there with like residency as an example, lack of sleep. You make poor food choices, and so it just has this perpetual effect on our body. How do I counsel to lose stress? I kind of look at my own life, and I think it's always you've got to strike a balance in everything. Structure in my schedule every day. I need time with prayer. I need time with my family. I need time just myself. I need some walks every now and then and things like that. I need to clear my mind. That's to me a stressful relief. Getting up in the morning by myself. Mm-hmm. I need about 30 minutes to an hour.
Yeah, me too.
And just whether it be prayer and just thinking about things and winding, getting ready for the day. But counseling is one of those things of finding what your number one stressor is in the morning. Well, let me go back to myself. When I enter just having my quiet time, the top few things that are on my mind that are stressing me out, that's what I start taking to prayer. And then getting wisdom on how to deal with those. For example, if it's a financial stressor, okay, what can Lacey and I decide to do to get this down and take care of this? If it's a child struggling in certain things, what can we do to get to the root cause of this? And I think it's getting back to that root cause and making some changes.
Yeah.
And then I think it's hitting things head on. Don't suppress things that are stressing you. You need to deal with them, and the sooner you deal with them, the better. What about you?
That's good advice. Good advice. I'd say how I deal with stress. My exercise routine is a big deal for me, because I think a lot of my I don't particularly stress about. I'm not a person that carries stress. I tend to try to address it. Like you're saying, you need to do. I either address it. I basically ask myself, can I act on this? Is this something I can affect at this moment? If the answer is no, I write it down because I think I can affect it, but I can't do it right now. And if the answer is I couldn't affect this no matter what I did, it's gone, man. I mean, I may pray for it, say politics, but can I ultimately change a lot in that realm? Okay, or is it, hey, things that keep me awake at night, like, man, I haven't taken my vitamins in like 5 days, and I don't want to sit there and think about it all night, because then I get into this like, if I go to sleep, I'm going to forget it. And so I try to keep a journal at the bedside, or I try not to do this, but click open your phone, jot a little note, and say,
get off your mind.
And so then I enter the next day like you. Then I like to be up, an hour for the family, and whether it's Bible work or self self-improvement type reading, or that's when I work out as well. Every morning's including something that's working on me. And I'm being selfish here. This is about me. And the kids want to try to wake up at 6. Like, nah, you're violating Dad's time here. So it's been good with the time change. There's no violation of my free time. But I don't tend to carry it very far. And I've told you about this before. So I did some genetic testing because I always thought maybe I was kind of an a-hole because I didn't fret as much as I thought that I should. Yeah. Whether in time my sadness around death didn't last long. Whether we have family members dying, and my anger about certain things didn't last. Like I could be really angry with somebody, and like 5 minutes later, I'm like, let's go get a beer. So I always thought that was a little weird about myself. And then I did the wild health stuff,
which was interesting.
Found out I had all these genetic, not mutations, but variants in my brain chemical makeup that explained all these feelings that I doubted.
You basically metabolize those neurotransmitters
super fast.
Quick.
Yeah.
So you have the feeling and it moves on.
Yeah, I can be like tremendously sad, and then 3 minutes later, it's like, all right, what do you guys want to do for dinner? And everybody else is still sad.
That's amazing.
And they're like, why? I'm like, I don't know. I'm hungry. I felt bad about it, and then so now that I know that
that's just who you are.
It's just who I am.
Yeah.
It's what the genetic lottery gave me. So I can get really stressed out and be stressed out about something, but it doesn't tend to last. Yeah. And so I guess I'm blessed in that way. Now that I know about it, because when I didn't know about it, I just thought I was heartless.
Well, and there are patients out there that are just opposite.
Yeah.
And they
hang on
just
to it
carry
too long.
this, and it just weighs them down. Mm-hmm. And they're the ones that just need to implement a lot more meditation, prayer.
Yeah, you got to put a lot more
breath
effort
work, exercise, all those different things.
Yeah.
I like your idea of writing things down, stressors, and having a plan. I think when you put it on paper, there's statistically, you addressing that goes way up.
Well, it's not even, hopefully I will address it, but at least it's somewhere where I won't forget it. I will revisit it. Most of my stress comes from the thought that I'm not going to take care of it. I'm going to drop the ball here. Do you feel the same way? I feel like you focus on bigger picture things, like big picture.
That's my gift. Yeah. I'm a big picture guy.
And I like that stuff. That stuff doesn't cause me, I don't have to worry about that. And ultimately, this goes back to the spiritual practice, man. What do I have to prove? Mm-hmm. I've got everything. Mm-hmm. If I've accepted Christ, I've got everything I need, right? Now, it's still my responsibility to be a good steward of finances and be good in the community, but it is ultimately freeing, right?
Absolutely.
I love my job. I make good money, take trips, and have everything I need. I want to do sauna, but I can't. I'm just kidding. But it's all minutia, and I think once you really grasp onto that, there's stress with money, and there's stress with kids, and there's stress with, but.
No, I love that, Bo.
Yeah.
That's
be free.
Yep. Last one. I love this one. We're meant to play.
Oh, this is a continuation number 10. We didn't add an 11th.
No, we didn't add an 11.
Yeah.
This is a part of
play.
stress management and play. This is my own example in my life. So 3 years ago, my wife introduced me to tennis. Never played tennis before. It's one of my favorite things that I do every week. Mm-hmm. We're meant to play, have some community, laugh. Do I take it serious every now and then? But it's more just the joy of playing.
Yeah,
I think we're meant to be kids and have that even in adult life.
Every health and wellness guru that I listen to and follow says the same thing. Play.
What's your play?
My kids aren't quite as old as yours yet, so we haven't gotten back into organized like tennis, golf. I played rugby going through college and medical school, and some of my best years mentally, and physically. I was fit. Just to have the camaraderie of a group of like 30, 35 guys and, friends associated with that, and super fun. So play right now for us is in the backyard, trampoline.
Managing chaos.
But I'd say in the last 3 months everybody can somewhat read now. Hugh still can't, but but more board games, more card games, more dice, more, forcing them to think. And I know there's an element of play that's about movement, but there's an element of play that's just about mental engagement.
Yeah.
And so are we meeting our movement goals in our family playtime right now? Probably not, but they're engaged. They know mom and dad are there. And I think we're shifting from like parenting and health. We're kind of moving around some things, but it all goes together, right? So I mean, people like friends I know, like they just built that Gaga ball thing right there at the church at Austin Park. Maddie's up there with the kids.
Boy.
40-year-old guy throwing a ball at kids' feet. And then whether it's Mark Sisson says ultimate frisbee because you're knocking out play and sprinting. He's a big believer of sprinting into your old age if you want to age well. Just pick a influencer and you'll find something they do to have fun, play.
A lot of them, where you stand on the big surfboard.
Stand up paddleboarding, supping.
Yeah.
Do you even sup, man?
Yeah. Keeps all your agility and your balance.
Yeah,
and all that kind of
and
stuff.
it's fun, especially if you do it with like 3 or 4 people, because
I played football with all the neighbor kids the other day.
Sort
of. It's awesome. It's awesome. I felt like I was back in high school.
Yeah, I could go back. We went state. No, I just think it's important for the neurochemically, and just compare it to the opposite of what you'd be doing. Right, I can tell you what I'd be doing.
Sit on the couch.
Yeah, sit on the couch, watch TV, drinking a bourbon.
Yeah.
Or I can be outside, having meaningful relationships and getting movement, vitamin D.
Well, we didn't talk about the sun, but that's so important.
That's part of play.
Get 10 minutes of sun light every day.
Not part of our board game play right now, but our family gets plenty of sun. They're outside pretty frequently.
So let's sum it up. 10 pillars of health.
Okay.
I want to go back through them real quick.
Okay.
So pillar number 1, eliminate sugar and processed carbs.
Yeah.
Number 2, eliminate all vegetable oils out of our diet. Number 3, choose well-sourced, regeneratively grown, organic whole foods.
If you can. Emphasize it.
The importance of gut health is pillar number 4, and how that affects us. Pillar number 5 is getting adequate sleep.
Which I didn't last night, so kind of dragging.
Same thing. Number 6, importance of exercise. Number 7, fasting and what role that plays in our health. Number 8, prayer and meditation. Number 9, importance of relationships. And number 10, stress management and play.
It's as simple as that. If you hit all 10 of those, you'll be perfect. Yeah.
Well, that's
I say that to say we realize there's no easy button to make all 10 of these,
no.
But I think knowledge is power, and knowing that they all have some effect, right? Because you and I just said, well, I didn't sleep well last night.
No, but I'm going to work on it tonight.
Is that the end of the world?
No. Well, I'll work on it tonight.
No, but 6 months of it, yeah, and then you're sick all the time, you're hurting, you put on 30 pounds because your cortisol's through the roof. So I guess what we're saying is these are the 10 things we know to think about, focus on, implement, change, educate, right? There's no like fix all these at once, right? And I tend to talk to people what I call low-hanging fruit, because if we went through these 10 with you right now, you'd be like, oh man, I do that one pretty good. I'm good at playing. Stress doesn't bother me. Man, my diet's pretty bad, and it's affecting. So some of us we're doing pretty good on some of these, but then there's a couple on there you're absolutely horrible at. Just being honest with yourself, like, okay, these are the 2 highest impact. These are the 2, and it may be some trade-offs. Like I can't make big stride improvements on my nutrition right now, but I can try to get to bed earlier, or I can work on that. I can't go spend an hour at the gym, but I can wake up and meditate or pray, right? So it's looking at negotiating what's changeable, what's doable in your life, and then looking at the low-hanging fruit. What would have the biggest impact?
I think that's the way to end this.
Perfect. Okay, we finally finished the 10 pillars.
Well, excited. Check those out. We're going to always just kind of this is what we try to do in our life, and we challenge all our patients to do the same.
And give us some feedback on this new sitting position. We realized we were sitting further back,
Actually,
making it.
not too bad.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
kind of more on top of my game versus back drinking
I've
coffee.
been working on the breathing exercise as well.
The whole time?
Yeah, a little bit.
That's pretty crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. You guys have a good day.
All right.